Hello, Alpha Gam, and the rest of the world. This chair makes funny noises. Somebody's here. That's always a good sign. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello, Melissa. It's nice to see you. See your name, I suppose, is what I can see. Hi, Kelsey. This right here is the highlight of my day. When I see all these names that I know, feels like I'm extroverting just a little bit. It makes me very happy. Hi, everybody. Welcome. You're here. You're coming in. I'm excited to see your faces and your names. Hello, Debbie. It's wonderful to see you here again. EP's in the building. Welcome. Because we're going to have a great day today. We're going to have Carly's here. Hey, lovely. We're going to have a great day today because it's Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern. So obviously we're going to have fun. It is Tea with Tina time. I am Tina Van Steenbergen. No, I'm not drinking tea. You should be used to that by now. I'm a professional speaker. I talk to women. I love women. And I'm talking to all of you. And most of you are women, but if you're not, you're still important. And we're so glad that you're here. Today especially is not a women's only conversation because I have a guest with me here. I'm going to wait and talk about him and embarrass him publicly before he gets to put his face on screen. But his book is called Leading Imperfectly. He is also a professional public speaker. He's a professional coach. He's a paid freestyle rapper. He's unbelievably handsome. And I married him. Let's talk about that. Ooh, self-high five. My guest today is James Romolada.
Hello, what's going on? How are you, Alpha Gam? Oh, here we go.
Oh no.
Squirrel squat.
Squirrel squat.
That's it, friends. I'm excited to be here. First guest, first male, and first person drinking tea.
All right.
On this show.
Shots fired. I drank tea on the first episode, if anybody that remembers.
I know what was in the glass.
Touche. It really was tea, but that's a fair point. James is here because today we're going to talk about relationships. And I could certainly just talk about my relationship, but it's way more fun to have the other part of my relationship here to talk to us as well. For those of you that are not Alpha Gamma Deltas, yes, our mascot is the squirrel. And we all feel a little bit differently about that. Some of us love the squirrel. Some of us do not. I'm not mad at the squirrel. I just don't want a squirrel squat. You know? I just don't want to do it. James is also a fraternity man.
I am indeed. And what's up, Heather? Thank you for the shout out, friend. I am. I'm a proud brother of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, an MPHC organization.
So, like I said, we're going to talk to you about relationships today. So we should probably know a little bit about ours before we dive directly into that. We have been together for 5 years.
Yeah, 5, 6. Yeah.
5, yeah. We've been married for 1.5 years, so we're basically experts. This whole episode is going to be us telling you exactly how to nail marriage. That's really all we're doing here. We're also business partners. We own a business together. Like I said, we're both professional public speakers, and we normally travel the country and tell the world that they're important and how to make people feel like they matter. But now we do that here from our living room because the world is obviously vastly different. Our world is vastly different since COVID-19 happened.
Facts.
This is the most time we've ever spent together. We're on day
right now.
We're on day 65 together. I forget to mention that James is an improv comedian. Did I forget? That's a really important piece of information.
Buckle up.
That's it. That's the defining feature of our marriage right here. My phone is not on silent, so that's great. Is your phone on silent?
Usually.
Great. So here's where I want to start. First of all, I want to tell you that we are open books. There is not a question about our marriage or about our life that we will not answer. So we would love for you to toss some questions into the question and answer, into the chat while we talk about our relationship and our life in quarantine. And then we're going to return to those at the end and answer all of your questions. I probably didn't ask you. Can they ask anything they want?
Anything. No, but actually, it's fine. I do believe that we are open books about our strengths and our weaknesses.
Yeah.
Love to talk about it.
And really fun stories. And James really loves to tell the story about how he proposed to me.
Oh, God.
So, here's where I want to start. I want to start in a fun place. Because this is the most time we've ever spent together, we are learning a lot about each other in quarantine. In really big ways, and I think in really silly little ways. And I'm going to make you go first because I'm in charge. And I would love for you to tell our friends about some silly things that you have learned about me.
Some silly things I've learned about Tina. So
let's find out if I know that he knows these things or if this will be new information for me. This will be fun.
Yeah, this is going to work out real well. First off, Tina there comes a point in every day, multiple times a day, where Tina decides, I will now be sockless. Regardless of where she is in the apartment, the socks just come off. And so we have little baby, they don't even look like socks. I wear a size 13 shoe. So when I take off a sock, it lands with a thud. These are some tiny ass socks. I don't understand how they even fit on your feet, quite honestly. But they're all over the apartment. There's a few on the couch. There's a few over there. It's not, again, this is not a big deal. I don't really care. But it's just something super funny and random that I'm now noticing that we're around a little bit more. I don't know if you pick them up more frequently. Another fun thing is that in our household, we both had a very important conversation early on. And I said, listen, I don't mind doing dishes. And Tina said, great, I hate doing dishes. I said, cool, cool, cool. Then I said, I am not good at laundry. And she said, I am good at laundry. Now, that is a true fact. She does her laundry a lot.
No.
She occasionally does mine as well. That doesn't mean that I'm doing it. I still haven't gotten better at it. But yeah, that's a fun thing.
Well, our closets are in 2 different rooms. We have 2 different hampers. And so I start sorting laundry and I just put all my stuff in there. And then he's like, did you check my hamper? And I'm like, oh, I didn't.
Everything is fine.
I didn't. Okay, I didn't know you were going to tell them that. I knew you were going to tell them about the tiny socks. They really are. I mean, I don't know if it's a problem because you don't care and I clearly don't care. But
Literally
they
don't
really are everywhere. I'll put some on my Instagram story tonight just so that you know. Okay, what have I learned about you, my love? I have learned, so James is right. He does do the dishes and he's great at it. And I really freaking hate doing it. I also do the majority of the cooking. So I'm grateful that he does most of the cleanup.
It's only fair.
I agree. Except then James puts the dishes away and there's a couple cupboards, as in most kitchens, that are down on the floor. That's where our pots and pans go. That's where our Tupperware and all of our bowls go. And James, this is my theory. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I think that James hates putting dishes away that he has to bend all the way down to the floor to put away.
Why do we gotta go all the way down there?
Well, because that's where the cabinets are, my love. So instead, James just leaves a pile of pots and pans on the counter directly above that cabinet and then walks away. It just leaves them there. So there's pots on the cabinet. There's a strainer on the countertop. There's just dishes on the countertop because you don't want to bend all the way down there to put them away.
They don't call me Jimmy Piles for nothing. You know what I mean?
You are a piles person, which is the second thing I've learned about you. We've never really had... I mean, like, I knew you were a piles person. We've been living together for a long time. But we've never really, like... We've had dedicated desk space, but because we traveled so much, we never really used it. And now we have to use it. And I wonder if any of you are like this. I have to have, like, a clear-ish desk space, otherwise I can't focus. I'll tidy instead of actually doing my work. It turns out you don't have that struggle.
What do you mean?
You don't need to tidy to be productive.
No.
I wish I could show you.
Productivity happens on the surface, not underneath.
Okay, I wish I could show you the pile of books and receipts and iPhone cords and journals, electronics, headphones. I think there's a beret in there, a microphone, another journal. It's just like a pile of stuff that has collected, and you don't need it cleared to be productive.
No. I'm focused. Stay focused.
I didn't know that about you. So those are the things, the fun, silly things that we have learned about each other in quarantine. I'd be curious what you have learned about your people, your roommates, your friends, the people you've been living with.
And Jenny, we saw your question. We're going to come back to that towards the end, so stick with us, friend.
I'm really glad that I did not. I kind of got to black the questions out so I can stay focused. Otherwise, I'll just talk to you all day, which I know is kind of my job, but I also am supposed to do other things here. So those are the silly things that we've learned about each other. But we have also learned a lot about ourselves in relationships, in our relationships specifically. Now we just have so much more time to think about it. Much more time than we had before. Something that I have noticed about me. I don't know if you've noticed this about me.
Probably not, my love.
No, of course not. No. I am a very independent human. That has always been true. My mother has always said the sentence, "You're the child I don't worry about," which I think is a compliment. I'm a super independent person. For my Enneagram people, I'm an 8. I don't like to be controlled. I don't like to be have people in charge of me. I didn't know I needed to be my own boss, but I desperately need to be my own boss. And our previous lifestyle, our each run our own businesses, travel the country by ourselves, lends itself very nicely to my independence, because part of my life I sort of live out on my own, right? I talk to you every day, several times a day, but I eat when and where I want to eat. I sleep in whatever hotel I want. I pick the rental, I'm in charge of that part of my life. And like 2 weeks into quarantine, I don't think I told you this, I got really mad at you in my head.
Oh, great. Good. This feels good so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, let's open it up.
No, and the reason I didn't say it out loud is because I knew this wasn't your fault, but I was coming into the living room. We only have one TV. It's in the living room. And I really wanted to watch Boy Meets World. That was one of my like quarantine things I was going to do. I was going to rewatch the entire series of Boy Meets World, which is on Disney Plus, by the way. And you were out here working. And I was like, I just want to watch Boy Meets World. I just want to watch what I want to watch on TV. And I don't want to have to ask permission to do it. And I don't want to have to make sure you're okay with it. And I don't want to have to see if I need to move to the bedroom and watch it. I just want to watch what I want to watch. And I couldn't, because you're here living your life and doing your job. And this is the only space that we have. I also felt that same pressure.
How did you handle that situation, since I didn't know this was happening?
Well, I somehow convinced you to watch Boy Meets World with me. And so now we've been doing that together.
Perfect.
We're almost done. The
Now
seventh season gets weird. So I'll be excited when we're done. But yeah, we started watching it together. That was the solution to that problem. I felt the same way about the cooking and the meal planning.
Mm-hmm.
Like normally when I was cooking here in the apartment, it was just for me. Like I was home alone cooking, right? And I could have whatever I want. For instance, I love sauteed zucchini. James thinks zucchini is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And so now before I cook everything, I have to be like, do you want this? Are you excited about this? Do you want to eat this? And as we've talked about in previous episodes, James doesn't care what I cook. He's going to eat whatever I put in front of him. Unless it's sauteed zucchini, he's going to eat it. But I still felt like I needed to like check with you before we have this for dinner, before I buy these groceries or make like.
No.
And I know you don't care, but
that would
like
stress me out.
I know, but
Because I was like, I literally do not care. Please just put. I mean, I'm very gracious for any plate of food that you put in front of me.
I know, but it just feels like I'm like right. We're here together. I don't know if that's like a woman thing. I don't know if that's just a Tina thing. I don't know if it's an accommodator thing. I don't know if it's like a future mother thing. But like I don't know. I just felt like I needed to like check with James and make sure that we were good with the meals. Like I was so used to being independent, and now all of a sudden felt like I needed to like clear even the most minor decisions with you just because we were in the same space together. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to inconvenience you or be disrespectful. So that is something I've learned a lot about me in our relationship in quarantine, is that I still need my independence, like desperately. And so I will now go to the grocery store often by myself, because getting in the car by myself and driving the 8 minutes to the grocery store feels like freedom. Or I've started watching Grey's Anatomy, which James hates. Doesn't like the show at all. Is hate too strong?
There are some personal the show is fine. There's just some personal personal reasons why I do not enjoy the show, and it brings me back to a time in my life that I care to not revisit.
So like James isn't gonna watch Grey's Anatomy with me, right? So like I now, when I wanna watch that show, I take a little bit of alone time and do it by myself. Just these like tiny little moments where I feel like I'm in charge of my own decisions in my own life, and I get to sort of like claim a little bit of independence. Not even that you needed me to, but I needed to learn how to do that when we were together.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm similar in that. I mean, yeah, like you said, we have such independent lives. I mean, for the most part, we have a pre-quarantine. We lived we had a long distance relationship, even though we shared the same address, and so that was it's cool to be able to do whatever we want in our lives, but be able to simultaneously do the exact right thing for our relationship, which is like I can step out of a restaurant that I wanted to go to that I chose myself and make a call to you. I can step away from a friend that I hadn't seen in a while and make a phone call. Like the best thing that I could do for you in that moment, since I couldn't physically be with you and spend that time with you, I was able to just step away from what I wanted to do or was doing to be able to just really quick give the relationship the time that it needed. So yeah, it is different.
And I've had to learn, like in that Boy Meets World moment, right? The reason I got mad at you in my head and not out loud is because it's not your fault, right? Like you are not physically doing anything wrong. You're just like living your life working at your desk. it was just inconvenient for me or felt like a compromise for me in places that I didn't have to compromise before. Right.
And it's interesting because on the other side of that, there are times where you're watching a lot of TV and I'm like, shouldn't we be working? Like, when do emails get done? When does this stuff happen? And so it's very interesting. Like, there's that same thing. Like, I'm not telling you that like what are you actually doing right now? Because are you learning this? You're not learning this. But yeah. And so in the same way, there's that same moment of like, I'm working, shouldn't you be? But you're at the same moment, you're like, I'm relaxing, shouldn't you be?
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's real. And I don't do this every day, but on the days where I'm really like feeling my independence, feeling strained, for any of you that are also feeling this way a little bit in quarantine with roommates or partners or whatever, I have taken mornings, like on the mornings where I know I need a little independence, I will get up an hour before James and do a little yoga and have coffee and sit by myself for those 45 minutes before James wakes up, because that for me feels like Tina time. And that helps me feel a little bit like I'm in control and I'm in charge of my world. So that has been helpful for me also.
Yeah. And that's why I stay up later sometimes also, because it's times where I no longer feel the need or the pressure to accommodate, which is all internal for me. It's like, there's no one here, there's no one around, the dog's been taken out, everything's taken care of, James. You literally have no more excuses, and I'm able to finally like zero in. So, yeah, for sure. I think one thing I learned about myself during quarantine is that, or during this period, and I would say, I think I knew this about myself, but it's just become heightened in the midst of everything that we're dealing with, is that in the midst of being quarantined and not being able to live the life that I want to live, do the job that we work so hard to be able to do, I'm now a little bit more sensitive, because I think I don't love this side of me, but I think there's some science to it where like men are providers, right? They're not up here like, I must go kill him animal and bring it to you, right? Like, it's not like providers, like kind of whatever, but there is something that's innately scientific about that within men. And so this isn't some weird flex right now. But for me, there's still that inside. So it's like, I need to be, what am I doing for the house right now? What am I doing for our relationship? How am I feeding it? How am I making sure it's going to be okay, going to be safe, taken care of? And so in the midst of that, while that still remained and the business started to fall or just look very differently, especially financially, I became more and more sensitive. And so my fuse got a little bit shorter. And by fuse, I don't want you to think that I'm like a ticking time bomb. I'm not someone who blows up and yells, and that's not the way that I show anger. No. Please trust that my dashing wit comes out in a lovely form of passive aggression, taught to me by my parents. But still,
Hi, Mom and Dad.
There's passive aggression that comes out. When I am stressed, I become more passive aggressive, more biting. My dashing wit turns into jabs. So that's one thing I've noticed about myself, is that fuse has just gotten a little shorter. So times where she would normally be making a joke and I would normally be like, oh, well, this is cool. You're taking a little shot at me. I'm gonna take a shot back at you. I love ping pong. Here we go. But in those moments, sometimes it hits me a little bit harder and I shut down, or I get sensitive or I get defensive. And so those are the ways that I know that shows up for me. That I've noticed that more in this time. And I actually pulled Tina aside on one of our walks and I said, hey, I know you've noticed this, but I think it's important that you know that I have noticed this and that I want to work on it, and that by me acknowledging it, it's now we're able to have a conversation about it a little bit easier. And so, yeah, that's one of the biggest things for me that I've noticed about myself. Yeah,
and I really appreciated the way that you had that really intentional conversation. We're communicators for a living, right? Like, James has a master's degree in counseling. He's also a professional coach.
How does that make you feel?
We talk about a lot of stuff. We have a lot of conversations where our communication lines are very, very open. But especially in quarantine, I've been trying to be really cognizant of, keeping the peace doesn't feel like the right language, but like we are both in this apartment. There's nowhere else to go. No one's getting on a plane tomorrow. And so like, does this argument need to be had, right? Does this, like, do I need to point out the pots and pans on the countertop for the, like, do I need to have this conversation with you today? Because it's just going to disrupt the peace, and it's going to make a day feel tense that doesn't have to. And so also trying to give each other a little bit of grace, because it is quarantine and our business is drastically shifted and everything about our life has changed in 65 days. Yeah. Right? And so like trying to like give you a little bit of space and grace. I don't know that I would have come to you and said, so I'm feeling like you're a little sensitive right now. Like, I don't think I would have come to you and said that. Pat. You know, I also don't know how to have that conversation in a way that wouldn't make me feel like a dick. Like and so it was really helpful to me for you to bring it up and to have that conversation, because I wanted to remain patient and give you space.
Sure. I think in every relationship, there's things that the other person does that are annoying, or you're just like, why? Like, talk to me about that choice. But you determine how much power to give everything. And like, so I don't give any power to your socks because I don't care about them, right? You occasionally give power to why these dishes piled up. I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And so, yeah. I think that those moments come and go. But yeah, you determine how much power you give to everything.
That's fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. So I know that you're already typing these things, but keep typing them. I'm curious what you're learning about your people, what you're learning about you in quarantine. Like, I need independence. James's fuse is a little bit shorter. And if you have questions for us about those things. I think my last little relationship philosophy thing, my last question for us to think about was, what has been like the relationship quarantine takeaway or reminder, right? Like, we're obviously doing a lot of learning. We're obviously doing a lot of changing and growing in this insane time that we're in. But what has been the thing that you have thought about the most, focused on the most, learned the most, been reminded of the most in quarantine?
I think for me, it's not, and I don't always knock this out of the park, but I certainly try to. And it comes down to whenever Tina presents me with something that she wants to talk about or is going through, or is just sitting on her brain. On my best days, I pause and say, "What do you need from me right now? Do you need an advocate? Do you need someone to have your back? Do you need someone to play devil's advocate? Do you need someone to be like, well, here's a counterpoint? Do you need someone to fix it? Do you just need someone to be like, damn, sounds like it's hard. Sounds like it sucks. Sounds like it's annoying. What do you need from me right now?" And so on my best days, I try to remember to ask that question. And sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. There's been times where I've asked that question and she just still shut down. I was like, cool, guess that wasn't the right move yet either. And that's okay. But what I've learned is that the way that you respond matters. And so the way that we respond to each other is critical, because I know that in my fragility, I want to consistently fix. I need to be seen as someone who can handle it, who can fix it and just nail it down and whatnot. And so in that moment, I will always lead with how I think or how I would want to respond or what I would assume my first move would be. But that's not always what Tina needs. And so I try to be mindful of that. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me is the way that you respond matters. Bringing up that word that Tina just used, grace. What does grace look like? Where are you giving each other the benefit of the doubt? And recognizing that just because someone did something one thing doesn't mean it's a pattern that they're always in and they're always that way and they're stupid. So, yeah.
Yeah, that word pattern is powerful. And I think what I've been reminded of is patience, in the sense that I think normally, because we're having plans and when I get to see you in our normal life, I see you for like 3 days, right? And then we're gone for another week. And so in those 3 days, like, I don't care about the dishes and I don't care about what we watch on TV. Like, I don't care about the day-to-day minutia, because it's our time together and it's the only time we have together. And so we just enjoy it, right? Really focus on being present with each other. And that's not the case anymore. There's no, okay, you're leaving tomorrow. And so those little things, right? The dishes on the countertop, or you're working until however late in the night, because that's when your brain is most optimally functioning, right? And it's so easy to see it happen once and be like, oh, this is it now. He's this husband now. Now I'm home all the time. Now the dishes just don't get done. And like start to write these stories about the way your partner shows up. Because I'm so much more observant of some of these homebody behaviors because we've never had them before. So I'm seeing them more often. I'm noticing them and they're sticking in my brain. So you see it once, maybe you see it twice in 2 months we've been quarantined. And then my brain immediately flips to like, bah, there it goes. Now he's not going to do the dishes anymore. I guess I'll just be the wife and do the dishes. And then by the next morning, the dishes are done. Right? By the next morning, you come to bed with me at a normal time because you need sleep. Right? Like, I just need to be a little bit more patient with you and to give you some time and space. And if you have one day where the dishes don't get put away in the way that I would choose to, that doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden don't give a crap about the dishes or are trying to frustrate me, right? It just means that just didn't happen that day and that's okay. And so to be a little bit more patient with you and to not, I don't know, there are so many things in the world that we have no control over right now. And so I think it would be really, really easy to try to control you. Now you have to go to bed when I go to bed because that's what you should do because we have to eat healthy, right? Like it would be so easy to try to exert control over you and our relationship because there's nothing else in life. I can't control my flight schedule. I can't control work or the quarantine. And so to try to take a breath and stop and to let you just be and give you some patience.
Yeah. I mean, I think, in the midst of this ambiguity, we're all grasping for something strong to hold on to, but sometimes we create it. And it doesn't just, we now create the thing instead of it actually being real. So,
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I love you.
Oh my God, I love you.
Oh my God. You're like so cute. Okay. I know that you've asked some questions. I want to go back and answer them. I would also like you to keep asking questions. You can ask us about our relationship in quarantine. You can ask us about things not at all quarantine adjacent. We are open books and we also like to laugh. So have fun enjoying that. And let's go through the comments and the questions and see.
Can you make them bigger?
I don't know if I can make them bigger. That's a really great question. I don't believe that I can.
Great.
There's everybody saying hi. Makes me so happy. People loving us.
Oh my God.
Barb says, this is now her husband and her are working from home, so this is the most time they spent together in 38 years.
There you go. Shout out to you, Barb.
It's almost the same thing as a year and a half of marriage, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a year plus quarantine.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's more than years.
Listen. Debbie, good preparation for retirement. I know that's right. I watched my grandfather retire when my grandmother was still working, and I thought she was going to lose her mind. All he does is sit around. Well, yeah, he's retired. I think they adjusted, but it definitely did take some time. We've been playing Why Do You Do It That Way? That sounds like a fun game. What is something that you've seen me do? You're like, why do you do it that way?
You fill up the top rack of the dishwasher willy-nilly. Like you're just like there's like a bowl over here, bowl over there, like it's like, all right, we're gonna be able to get like 6 things on the top rack with this packing method, as opposed to like, hey, what's a way that we can get the most stuff in here?
I lived with 5 men for so long. I was just like, I just need my dishes to get done. I just threw my shit in there and then didn't pay attention to it.
Well, now we know why you do it that way.
Now we know why you do it that way.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny.
How about
Great
you,
game. Oh. Why do you do it that way? This is a great question.
You're right. I'm glad Jenny asked it.
Jenny, it's a great question. I think I would come back to the desk space.
She looks at the other side of the desk.
I just don't understand how you possibly get work done when your desk
if you want.
looks like, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Hang on, buckle up. That's James's desk, you guys. How do you get anything done? I don't understand. Why do you do it that way? Okay, this is a fun game. We got dates out. These socks are evil. I just get tired of wearing them. I'm not even a barefoot person. I know some people are barefoot people. I am not.
You see all these wow faces over here? Okay, y'all with your judgment.
You're the one that wanted me to show them, my love. I'm just saying. Oh, angry faces.
Wow. That's a you for showing them.
Is that true? You told me to do that. I don't know if anybody is mad at me right now. Jenny Jones says, I feel like you both know who you are as individuals and how you live. Change can be hard. How did you compromise on some of your specific ways of living to be better partners for each other? What were some big pain points?
You'd like me to go first.
I'll go first. Because our time together was so rare, when we spent days together, we would always spend pretty much the whole day together, right? Including going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. It was like, that was our time. We're going to be together. And so we never went to bed at different times. This is an adorable James and Tina fact. Even when we're on the road, we fall asleep together on FaceTime. We go to bed together. That's what we do. We go to bed together. Even when we're apart, that's what we do. And so then to be together all of the time, we were still in that pattern of going to bed together. And then there was one night where James was like, I really need to get shit done. And I can't do that if I go to bed right. Like, I need to stay up and work. And so for me, having to like let go of that pattern and accept that like, we need to let go of that pattern because we get to spend every waking minute of every day together, right? Like that specific time isn't as priority, isn't as important as it was before because we get to spend every other minute of the day together. And so I needed to let go of some of that and be like, all right, well, I'm tired, so I'm going to bed. Enjoy your work. I'll see you at 5 a.m. when you come to bed, right? Like I just needed to let go of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me it was asking a lot of questions. Like as far as like compromising, it's like I wanted to understand more of what was going on, especially in the beginning. I think Tina told you all about this in an earlier episode of Tea with Tina, is that we handled, especially the beginning of this whole situation, differently. And no one knew how they were going to respond, right? And so you can't, it's not like we had something to pull back. It was like, well, during the last pandemic. So, so for me, it was asking questions of like, why, like, I'm taking this as an opportunity and like, okay, like what can we now do? What do we have to do in order to be able to keep doing what we love, to serve the people and help individuals that are going through tough times? And you were not there, and that is okay. But I needed to ask questions because I know that I was initially just doing a lot of assuming, and that wasn't healthy, nor was it respectful to you. So I think, in terms of compromise, I think it's a balance where I think I have definitely been trying to, I don't know, at 11 o'clock at night, my brain turns on and I can go hard for 5 hours straight. And I can go to bed at 4. And that's just the way that my brain works. And it's a very efficient time for me. So it also bleeds into the fact, we didn't bring this up, but I have ADHD. And so there's something where like at that hour, I know everybody's gone to bed. There's no one I could be hanging out with. Tina's gone to bed, so I can't make sure that, hey, are you okay? What's going on with you? How you doing? The dog is asleep, so I'm not like, what's the dog want or need? And I can just like, boop. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's real. And your ADHD is something else I've had to learn to be patient with. Because I think our normal life, our past life, traveling full time, lended itself really nicely to the way that your brain works with your ADHD. Right? Like the lack of routine, the lack of schedule, finding spurts of time to work, right? As opposed to being home and being in a more 8 to 5. And that's just not the best setup for your brain, right? And so learning how to like let you figure out what works for you.
Right, because I'm also learning.
Sure.
Because this also isn't normal for me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's been times where I definitely overwhelmed myself.
Sure.
And had, not breaks, but, just moments where I'm like, cool, I'm letting everybody down around me because I can't get anything done. That feels really good. So.
You're not letting me down.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Another adjustment we've had to make, Barb, you put something in here about how your husband needs to talk to people. Our extroversion has been a fascinating shift. Like, we can't extrovert. And I thought I was an extrovert. I thought I was the world's most extroverted person until I met my husband. Turns out I'm not. It turns out I have an introverted streak in me. James is the world's most introverted or extroverted person that I've ever met. And so I think you have needed other people, right? And there are days where like somebody will call or you'll meet a stranger in the hallway and like I just won't see you for 30 minutes. Just like you need.
I call those good days.
This like need to extrovert, right? Is like such a deeply ingrained part of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think even like with these Zoom calls and stuff like that, there's been times where I'm like, hey, so-and-so wants to get together. We're doing a Zoom date or this date or whatever. And you're like, I'm just going to pop in and say hello, but I don't need to be on that whole call. And I'm like, I'll be on it for 3 hours. What are we talking about? So, yeah.
I just get really Zoom tired. And I was reading an article today on Facebook, actually, I have to go find it, that was like explaining why Zoom is exhausting. And talked a lot about how it feels more performative and less relaxing. You're cognizant that everybody's looking at you because you're looking at you. And there's all of these pieces to the psychology of Zoom that explain why it is so draining to us. And I felt very seen and valued by that article, because there are days, even my extroverted heart needs people too, but I'm like, I cannot play Jackbox games again. I need a break. I just need to go watch Grace. I don't even know why. I don't even know why. It's just because it's a whole other world, I think. It just has nothing to do with any of our stuff that's going on right now. And you're buying your first house. Congratulations. We are also house shopping right now, which is a little strange, but exciting.
I love that.
I love that. Laura, that's really special that you get to watch your husband communicate with students with disabilities and learn how great he is at it. That's really special.
That's awesome.
That's a cool question. Have you learned that I'm good at anything you didn't know I was good at?
Yeah, what a cool question.
I have learned that James, we've been doing our businesses the way we've been doing them for so long that if somebody had asked me, like, will James be able to completely redesign his business and pivot, even though I'm exhausted from saying that word, and pivot meaningfully? And I'd have been like, I mean, probably, but I don't know. We have a very specific job and we're very good at our very specific job. But to watch you pivot and to watch you try, like, to take risks and to put stuff out into the universe that you weren't putting out before, because now I don't know if the barrier's lower. I don't know what has unleashed the ability to try, but to watch you vulnerably try and to put stuff out there that maybe it'll go really well and maybe it won't, but you do it anyway. And to watch you like actually pivot your business and our business has been something that I wouldn't have said you were going to be bad at, but I didn't know how good at it you were going to be. If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. I don't know. I just we got to move.
You're doing it.
We got to move. I'm not interested in settling. So, yeah. And I love that. I mean, when you came out of your rut that you named for yourself, right? That you were kind of in this funk. I mean, you shot out of it like a cannon in almost intimidatingly way. Like, I mean, she's like, all right, I think I'm going to do a webinar for some people. And then 1,500 people proceeded to show up for this thing. I mean, it was incredible to relearn what you do for women and the space that you provide for women. That's why it's an honor that you let me in to this, cocoon that you've created. So yeah, it's really cool. If you ever doubted your impact, I hope that slapped you in the face.
Oh, thank you.
In a really kind of way, like a slap, a loving slap.
Very sweet to me. Laura says, I also found out that my husband gets way too invested in courtroom reality TV shows. That's amazing. That brings me great joy. Go kill an animal. People really enjoyed that. Kill an animal and bring it to you. It's actually my mom's job. My mom is a bow hunter. Has a crossbow in her trunk. So that's covered. Cassie says, what has been the shining moment? Have you looked at each other and said, I am so lucky or impressed with my person?
I think you just nailed it.
I think we just did. Yeah. Good job.
Woohoo!
Mm-hmm. Go team. Carly's laughing at us. That's huge. Mm-hmm. Who cares about dishes? No one! Oh, that is very real, Lauren. Lauren says she lives with her mom and normally travels. And so the adjustment to like, it's so crazy how much travel changes your lifestyle, right? Like, and now that we can't, all of a sudden, it's insane to me how different life feels because we can't just like hop on a plane, and how that's shifted the way that our household works and the way that we build relationships with each other and talk to each other. Like I knew it was a big part of our lives, right? But like, yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, Lauren, that that does sound a lot of work having your mom be there all the time. Again, that independence. I'm sure some days it feels nice to maybe not be quarantined alone, but I'm not. Yeah, that sounds like a lot to juggle, friend.
Yeah. Teresa, I really love this comment that you put in here about how in the beginning, we have a lot of friends who are also single and living alone in quarantine, and how in the beginning it felt really lonely, and sort of was like putting this like giant spotlight on not being in a relationship. But I love that for you, it has pivoted to look at me, what a badass, independent, self-sufficient woman I am in the world. I think that is so cool. I love that so much.
Get it, sis.
Get
it, sis.
Yeah, look at you.
That's my impression.
You're nailing it. Yeah, you're nailing it. This Tina impression is on point. On point. Oh.
How many of y'all ever seen me live before? How many of y'all haven't? All right, well, buckle up. Sis.
Lauren, you're doing great. Lauren and Jenny are having a conversation about how like household work feels like it should be at a 50-50%, but sometimes it's not. And the really frustrating parts to that. I hear that. That resonates with me. Mostly because I enjoy housework. I don't know if that's like anti-feminist of me, but turns out feminism is women doing whatever they want, so it's not. But I enjoy doing laundry, right? It feels like little spurts of productivity. And like, look at me, I'm doing all the laundry while I'm also watching TV and doing nothing. And so I enjoy doing the homework here. But then this little voice in my brain is like, this is supposed to be fair, right? Like this should be equal. We should be doing equal amounts of work. And my deep, deep, deep desire for fairness and equality also then gets in the way of my like, well, Tina, if the dishes calm you down, then why don't you just do the dishes? I think it's part of the reason why I don't touch your desk space, even though I would like to.
Really learning a lot on this call.
But I'm not gonna do it because I don't know. Like you pull your weight, right? Like if you weren't doing your parts here, we could have a conversation.
Sure.
I would be vocal.
I think it also talks about. I mean, it's getting back to why things matter, right? Do things matter because of control, or do things matter because they matter? And I think those two are different. And being able to vocalize why things matter is really important in relationships. And so I think one of the death to all relationships is holding people accountable to standards and expectations that they don't know you set for them. Mm-hmm. One more time for the people in the back. I think one of the things that hurts most relationships is when people hold other individuals accountable that they don't know that you set for them. And so I think we have different standards, right? I mean, I know, like, for example, Tina, as much as she loves being barefoot, but she hates stepping on things in the floor. Now, no one loves to step on stuff on the floor, but like it drives her up the wall, and so she's always talking about, we gotta clean the floors. I could give two shits about these floors because they don't matter to me, right? And so I also know one thing that there's been some moments where Tina's like, hey, we need to do a deep clean. And I'm like, cool. I don't know what that means. Like, I mean, I understand it in theory what a deep clean is, but what I need for you, and we did this last time, is that I need you to give me tell me of the list of things that needs to get done. I need you to hand me a list or text me a list of like, here's your check spot. Here's your checkbox, bro. Here are the ways that you specifically can help. And that's annoying, I'm sure, because we would love for individuals to just get it the way we get it. We would love for things to matter, the things that matter to us to just matter to other people. But that doesn't happen. We know that. So with that being said, I think that communication is really important up top.
I also have to shift the way that feels, right? Because one part of my brain, the advocate, the feminist, right? That part of my brain very clearly is like, I don't need to make you a list. You are a grown-ass man. You live in this house. I'm not your mom. These aren't your chores. Clean up, right? Like, I shouldn't have to make you a list of the house, the work that needs to be done to live in our house, right? But you are not asking me to make a list because you are the man and I am the woman and that is my job. Or because you expect me to treat you like I'm your mother. It is because of the way your brain works.
Right.
Right. And the way that, whether it's ADHD, whether it's the masculine, whether it's just a part of who you are in the world, household cleanliness is never the top priority of your life, ever. And it's things that you straight up don't notice. It's not that you don't even care. You just don't know. Like, I don't think you notice when something sticks to your foot on the floor in the kitchen. And it like actively pauses my day, right? Like, it is something you notice.
Right.
And so to accept the fact that this isn't like, it's really easy to assign gender roles in a marriage and then to assume that that's why roles are being assigned because I'm the woman and you're the man. But like, that is not what's happening. You as a person in the world, not as a man who needs a wife, right? Like, you as a human are happy to help with housework. You just don't think about it unless I ask you to think about it. Yeah. And that is very different than you needing me to be your mom.
Right. I'm not ignoring it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the classic go away, put it here and it'll go away. I also think you and I have similar things around the house that we do. I mean, we have this pile. I can show you another pile that's not mine.
That's fair.
And it has mail that has bills that haven't been opened in 3 months. And so like, we all have these things that matter to us. Mm-hmm. And so I think that having that conversation is really important. Like, what matters to you? And why does it matter? Because I have innate care for you. And so if things matter to you, I want them to matter to me. I don't want to just like, rain on your parade. I'm not a bad person. No. So, and neither are your partners.
Yeah, that's real.
They're not.
No. The benefit of the doubt thing has been a gigantic part of our marriage. Mm-hmm. This idea that like...
And I think some of our biggest disagreements have sometimes come from that too. Why didn't you give me the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah. I mean, it's something that we've always talked about. It's something we put in our vows, right? It's like, I will give you I will try my best to give you the benefit of the doubt. That you're not trying to hurt me. That you're not being a jerk on purpose, right? That it's not that you don't care. It's just that you've got other stuff going on in your brain that day. And I will do my best to give you the benefit of the doubt and to assume positive intent, right? And when we don't give each other the benefit of the doubt, that's when we hurt each other.
Right. And it's usually when other stuff is going on in our lives.
Yeah.
We're not giving ourselves the patience, so I'm sure as hell not going to give it to you.
Yeah. It's on empty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's valid.
Tell him, Jackson Brown.
Somebody says you hear puppy paws. Sherry is wandering around.
Sherry!
Hi, little one.
Has Sherry been on TV with Tina?
I don't believe so. No, she's always asleep over there in the corner.
Oh my gosh, Sherry!
Yesterday was Sherry's 9th birthday.
Sherry!
Oh my gosh. Here she is. Hi,
what do you think, Shizzy?
What?
Oh my
Hi, this is going to be the most watched TV with Tina ever.
This is it because of you.
Well, you too,
Well, the furrier family members.
You sweet dog.
Okay.
Oh, she's done now. All right, friends. I don't see any other questions, but I would still love for you to toss them in here. Any questions at all about our life post, pre, during quarantine, love, marriage, communication, all that stuff. While you type those questions, I want to tell you about a quick Alpha Gamma Delta fun fact that is happening in the world. This is really fun. They're like trusting me to announce things into the world. Like, thanks, Alpha Gamma. Alpha Gamma Delta is releasing a podcast. I gotta stop doing that noise. I'm not good at it. The podcast is called Love, Lead, Listen. It will be released every other Thursday, starting this Thursday. They're going to talk to a bunch of experts. Every podcast is a different expert about a different topic. They're going to talk about how to boss up, being a woman in a man's world, how to silence your inner critic. They also have an episode about relationships that James and I are both on. So this Thursday, Alpha Gamma Delta is releasing 3 episodes of the podcast, Love, Lead, Listen, plus a bonus episode about COVID-19 and the quarantine life. So all of those are being released this week on Thursday. Check them out. I believe you can subscribe all the places where you can subscribe to podcasts and where those exist in the world. So that's exciting. And that's part of the reason why we brought James today, because now you can go listen to the podcast and listen to us talk even more about how much we love each other. We're disgusting. Oh, okay. A few more questions. This will be fun.
We're going about Sherry up there. One more.
Do you ever sing Sherry by Steve Perry?
Which one's the Steve Perry?
The one we sing all the time. Okay, Sherry is named Hi, Sherry. Sherry is named after the Frankie Valli song, Sherry Baby. That one. But that is often not the one that we sing about her. we do sing the Steve Perry Sherry version pretty much every day.
Oh, Sherry. Oh, I'm so happy, Sherry.
Oh, she's so happy she was just talking about it. So yeah, there's a lot of accents in this house. There's a lot of singing and laughing and voices, and we have a lot of fun. CJ, hey girl, you're one of my favorites. CJ says, how do you show each other love and how do you respectfully ask for space?
How do you show each other love? How do we respectfully ask for space? I think that is, I think that's one thing that we've both we're working on and getting better at, but I think it's hard because we're both accommodators. We like being with each other. And it's, so that part is hard because I also know, how much, this is going to sound weird, but stick with me, how much Tina loves to have me there. Like, why aren't we touching each other? Why are we sitting next to each other? Why aren't we doing this? And there's times where I'm just like, I got things to do. And because of my ADHD, I can't like be here and be here at the same time. And I get overwhelmed. And then I will always lean on not letting her down. I'll always let myself down before I let her down. But then that winds up me being stressed. And then, so now in the past few weeks, it's looked like me being like, hey, I need to stay up late tonight and get some work. So you're going to go to bed on your own. And so I think that has been one thing.
Mm-hmm. I've also learned that if I just take this space, that works, right? I used to think we had to like have a conversation and but like it's been really easy for me to just be like, go to the room to do a phone call and then just not come back out into the living room. And he's so focused on work that he's not paying attention. And if he did need me or needed to talk to me about something, he would yell and be like, what are you doing? And then I would know that he wants to talk to me and I'd come out. So I think just taking it has been something I've learned to do. That like, James, ain't worried about you right now. You just need to go. Chill. That's been really helpful. Yeah. And the way we show each other love, both of our love languages are quality time and physical touch. So
every time we touch, I get the feeling, and every time we touch, I reach for the sky.
James freaking loves that song. So yeah, I think the ability to there's at least once a day, there's a moment where it's like, can we just hug for a minute? Like we got a lot going on today. We're doing different calls in different rooms. Like our schedules we're like circulating around each other, trying to get stuff done. So to take a minute and just be present with each other and touch each other, I think is a way that we show love in our household.
Thanks. Bonnie.
Oh, Bonnie, you're very nice. Bonnie says you could encourage people to come to your recruitment in fall craziness webinar tomorrow. I could do that, Bonnie. I could. I'm hosting a webinar tomorrow. Registration's on my Facebook page about, it's literally called Recruitment is Bananas. Let's talk about it. Because regardless of what kind of sorority you're in, recruitment was a whole nother world. And it's just like a round table to talk about it. I will tell you it is already full. But so that just means you just need to be there, you need to register, and you just need to be there like at the time it starts, because in 5 minutes afterward it's going to get completely closed, and then I'm sorry. But it's going to be a fun roundtable conversation. So yeah, come hang out with me tomorrow. We'll have a lot of fun. Thanks, Bonnie, for that little plug. That was really nice. Amanda says, is your hubby's cup Brooklyn Lager?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We lived in Brooklyn for 3-4 years before we moved to Minnesota this summer.
Roosevelt Island. Shout out to
I always wanted to live on Roosevelt Island.
Shout out to the F train.
It's really lovely. We love New York. We miss it a lot. A lot. Thank you very much for the spontaneous singing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you're welcome. It happens in our household a lot. Yeah. I think that's our time.
I love it. This is special. Thank you for having me, y'all. And thank you for having me, Tina.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. No, stop. Oh my God.
You're so sweet. Oh my God. Okay, we care about you a lot. Thanks for being here. We'll be back next week. I'm still not sure if it's my last one, but it's my last one of May. Yeah, so that works. That feels good. I don't know what's going to happen into June with Tea with Tina. We will still host some kind of conversations like this, whether it's through Alpha Gam or just through Tina. We'll wait and see. I guess you'll have to be my friend on Facebook if you want to come hang out. Smash that button. I am Tina Ray Van on all forms of social media. That's R-A-E is how you spell Ray. So you can hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, all the things. What about you?
Your boy. I'm James T. Robo, R-O-B-O, James T. Robo. I've been posting some meaningful content on Instagram. Also, James Q. Robo here on Facebook as well. So feel free to hit me up and see what I'm working on.
James has a TV show that he does on Facebook Live every Wednesday night called Diner Talks with James, where he has a really deep conversation with a badass human in his life. It's amazing, totally worth your time. He also puts meaningful content out into the world regularly because he's the best like that. So,
and I post pictures of Tina, what the people want to see. Got to get these likes where I can, y'all.
Ridiculous. We care about you. We're really glad you were here. We hope you enjoyed this. We hope you got something out of it. We hope that you are being patient with one another in quarantine. Thanks for hanging out. We care about you a lot. Have a good day.